Here we bought a new case.
Good morning, everybody. I'm presenting Institute of Quantity Surveys Sri Lanka. My name is Hasita. So today in our presentation, we are looking at the current developments in Sri Lanka and the construction problems that we are facing at the moment, and the solutions that we have taken out to mitigate these issues. So, when we look at the construction industry of Sri Lanka, we have suffered nearly 30 years of conflicts in the country, which put us in a certain drawback in our development, especially in the construction industry. And with the peace and the 2009, when we resolve these conflicts and look at the new period, now we are in a sort of a development which is a rapid development, considering the past 30 years of time of our industry. So, other than that, I think you also aware that there was a tsunami incident happened on 2004, which was a natural disaster and which put us in another sort of a backward position in our development and the economy. So from that also, we started to going for a new areas of development and the economical aspects of the construction industry. And then so basically our construction and the economy has impacted with the natural disasters and the war during last 30 years. But now from 2009, Sri Lankan construction industry is in a way of rapid development. Now the construction industry has contributing nearly 110 billion to the national GDP. And before 2009, the growth rate of this construction industry was averagely on 5.6%, but now it has increased up to 14% and still increasing, which is a better, we think it's a better position what we are now in. Then this was the result of new investment opportunities. Most of the foreign investors are now looking at the investment opportunities in Sri Lanka. Not like 5 years back. Now we have a peace and government is supporting for international investors to invest in various projects in Sri Lanka. Basically, the leisure sector as well as the infrastructure developments in Sri Lanka are done through the international investors. So I think this is another opportunity that we have gained during last 5 years. As you can see in this graph, up to 2009, there was a certain development, but when the war became worse at the 2007-2008 period, the growth rate of the industry has been dropped significantly. But within the end of these conflicts, the highest contribution to the value has been made by the building construction industry now for the Sri Lankan economy. It is nearly 48%. Then the major share value of work done from the building construction, which is 37,623 billion. This is from the last 2 years. And the major development that can be seen in Sri Lankan construction industry is the infrastructure development. Basically, the highways, airports, and transportation system are now upgrading and developing to a certain level of international level, which is almost 32.6%. So this is also saying, showing how this in last year the growth in GDP considering to the construction industry. And now from 2009 we are reaching a better position in GDP considering the construction sector. So these are the statistics now showing our progress in construction industry. So as you can see here, a few decades away, where we were in construction. Now we are going towards development, not only the building or infrastructure, but also the beautification of the country. So that has become another aspect of the construction industry of Sri Lanka, because most of the time construction means the development of buildings or infrastructure, roads, highways and these things. But in our present situation, the beautification of the cities also has a major impact, which is done through the construction. So now the government has developed a certain plan of progressing to the new upcoming decades by developing a national physical planning policy, which includes the development for the investors, leisure sector, township, transport, fisheries and harbours, well as mainly our focus is to increase the foreign travelers who are coming to the Sri Lanka, because they are contributing a large amount of money to the economy. So we are trying to promote the Sri Lankan travelling and wildlife areas of leisure sector to attract the foreign countries. So tourism and leisure sector is also another aspect that we are looking to develop through the construction in the current development. So this shows how the national physical structural plan for this development. Now, Sri Lankan government has identified certain areas or zones that need to be developed separately for separate requirements. For example, now when we take the middle area, now these are the most attractive places for the tourism. So they have zoned in the country into several zones and try to develop according to the value of each zone. So for example, the central area of the country now developing as a tourism zone for the tourism zone, which gives additional 2 airports plus the highways and everything are focused on these areas. So we believe with this development that we can attract more tourists to the country, which contributes to our economy in high scale. Then the other areas are the northern part and western part of these areas are cities that most of the investors come and stay and try to invest in the apartments or like hotels and apartments. So they are facilitating these areas or developing the infrastructure to attract these investors for the country. So likewise, there are certain plans are developing and executing at the time for the development. So which I have already discussed. Now the government policies for this development is to give more opportunities to the investors, because in our economy and the construction industry also, the foreign investors play main role. Since we are in a third world developing country, so we are focusing on the foreign investment to the economy. So we are having tax relaxations, new policies to encourage foreign investments. So these are the main areas government now looking at and try to change the policies to enhance the requirements. Then diverting from the traditional procurement system. So basically, in our country, the main procurement system is the traditional procurement system, which becomes a barrier to the new trend of development. So we are trying to develop a sort of a hybrid systems to improve and expedite the investment opportunities. Because no investor would like to spend more than 2 or 3 years to complete a project and start getting an income. So we are trying to expedite the process and support for new projects in hospitality sector, which is the main focus. Now these are the current developments we are looking at in the Sri Lanka. Colombo city skyline will be changed within next 5 to 6 years very rapidly. Plus there are certain high-scale apartment projects and hotel projects to be implemented in Colombo area. So these are the main landmark buildings which we are looking at for next 5 to 6 years. Plus, parallel to these building construction, there are infrastructure development processes are also going on other regions of the Sri Lanka. Likewise, for example, now the power plants in Norakcholi and New Mantala Airport, like harbour. So these are the areas that government looking at to develop to improve foreign investing opportunities to the Sri Lanka. These are some of other projects, and there is a major proposed project which is now initiated, I think 1 year back. The Harbour City project. This is a major development that we are looking at. So we are filling part of the Indian Ocean near the Sri Lankan Colombo Harbour area, and to try to develop this as a total leisure sector development to increase the investment opportunities. So this will comprise with hotels, tourist attractions, leisure and entertainment sectors, plus metropolitan subway system has been proposed for these areas. So this will be a major development that we can see within another 5 to 6 years. So these main challenges that we are facing at the moment with this rapid development are the unfamiliar contracts for the foreign investors and stakeholders who are not familiar with the local contract procedures and methods are now having certain drawbacks and they are not clear how they have to mitigate these issues. So this is one of the major challenges that we are facing at the moment. Then the entrance of foreign organizations. As a local entities, we are facing difficulties with the entrance of foreign organizations to the construction industry through foreign investors, because main source of the investments are coming through the foreign investors. When they are entering into the industry, they bring their own consultants, contractors and other parties to the industry, which means in the local aspect, the local entities and organizations are now suffering from these entrances. So this is also another major challenge we are facing. Then the blending the client requirements, cost, time, quality together as is a major difficulty that we are facing, because in our economy the cost of a project has a major impact to the investor. Basically for the investor we are having cost and time impact. That is a very essential problem. Plus, if you are focusing to the global entrance, then the quality of a project has a very impact or a major impact to the attraction of global investors. So these need to be blended together to have a better output. So this is also another challenge. Then the scattered human resources, because for example if you take the local quantity surveys, most of our contracting surveyors are working abroad to separate various organizations. So when we are having these sort of a development in the construction industry, we need their support, but it's a problem of getting them back into the country. These scattered resources need to be integrated to one area. So fast track project implementation with unformulated contracts. Again, the contractual issues. Then direct entries of consultants and contractors, again through investors, are creating problems in our construction industry. So I will skip this common contractual issues. Then the way forward is what we are looking at is to change the change the track of the traditional procurement systems into a new sort of hybrid systems that can that is user friendly for the investors. Plus exposure of the foreign professionals into mega development projects. So we are looking to get these scattered human resources into one project or one to the country and focus their effort to the development. Then merging the different professional entities and integrated services provided. So what we are looking at is now in our Sri Lankan construction industry, quantity surveyors are practiced separately and they come together for separate projects with the engineer and the architect. So we are looking at a collaborative system. Some sort of a consortium that we can get all these services integrated and go to a project. Then remodeling and formulation of contractual procedures. Again, we are trying to remodel and formulate the traditional systems into user-friendly and fast-track procurement systems. So these are the situations in current Sri Lankan construction. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And the next representative from New Zealand. Yeah. Come over.
Sorry, I have an announcement to make. So can each country send a representative to have a meeting during lunchtime, because we need to discuss about the committee next year. So each country please send a representative and gather at the entrance, maybe halfway during a lunch. So I'll ask you to gather during a lunch, and we'll have a meeting at the Innovation Tower later.
Good afternoon, everybody. That don't know, my name is Lady Gardner. I am representing the New Zealand Institute of Quantity Surveyors in New Zealand. So I want to cover three things today. So I'll firstly set the scene by introducing New Zealand and its construction market. Then I'll move on to the Christchurch rebuild. Now we're using two terms today, Christchurch and Canterbury. Christchurch is the main city in the area of Canterbury. And then lastly I'll talk about the leaky buildings. Also I'll be quoting all figures in US dollars just for easy comparison, rather than talking about the numbers. I'm not sure what the deal with questions are. Do we just... Oh, sure. Okay, sorry. Questions, just come to them afterwards. So I'm from New Zealand, down there, next to Australia, we're up there in Hong Kong by China. So we're a pretty small country. I'm 25, I live in Hamilton, which is about 2 hours south of Auckland. I've worked in construction for nearly 8 years, so not nearly as long as some of you here. Been quantity surveying for about 6 years of that. I've worked for both contractors and consultants in that time, and I worked at RLB for 18 months. Just a bit of a plug for Riley at Bucknell, so I'm not sure if you guys have worked at RLB before, but we're a leading independent consulting practice with offices all over the world. 7 of those offices are in New Zealand, and I work for one of them. bit of a map. So I'm from this little place here, Hamilton. We're a pretty small country. We've got about 4.4 million people. About 35% of them live in Auckland, so a bigger city. Wellington is the capital though. We're similar in area to Japan or Britain. Our economy is heavily dependent on trade with China and Australia. Main earnings are from farm products such as dairy and wool. So tourism, come over and have a look at New Zealand sometime. Films produced in New Zealand. Hobbits, so we don't look like hobbits in New Zealand. Lord of the Rings, Avatar, Narnia. Bit about the construction market in New Zealand. So things are looking really good for New Zealand. We had a pretty tough time through the GFC. So current forecasts show unprecedented levels of demand for building and construction in the immediate future. So here's a bit of a graph here. So that's about a 44% increase from now, which is 23% higher than the highest level pre-GFC. We also have a sustained level of growth which hasn't been seen for the past 40 years. Growth is primarily driven by residential housing growth in Auckland and the Canterbury rebuild. There's a forecasted national peak in 2016 which coincides with a few events. So extremely high levels of activity in Auckland. Auckland's residential building is forecast to more than double between now and 2017. The Canterbury rebuild, residential construction outside of Auckland, you guys can all read, and also the expected peak in roads of significance program. So we've got a pretty serious housing shortage in New Zealand at the moment. The main drivers of this are Christchurch, so you can see here a house that's been devastated by the earthquakes down there. So the supply of habitable homes has been significantly reduced by people just wanting to re-establish themselves after their houses have been devastated, and also outsiders coming in to try and fix the houses and fix the city. Also in Auckland, there's been an increased trend with renters wanting to buy their own houses. I'm part of that category, and also the shortage has been exacerbated by a historical low levels of building, which has gradually caused an increased shortage of homes in Auckland. I just want to talk about some of the major projects in New Zealand at the moment, all of which are in Auckland. So firstly, the New Zealand International Convention Centre, about $350 million US. Now it's a very controversial project at the moment because it's been fully funded by Sky City Casinos, and they've agreed to fund it in exchange for change to New Zealand legislation, which has allowed them to extend their gaming licence and have more poker machines and whatnot. Opposition have seen this as big business buying legislation, and the public aren't into it. Next, we've got the City Rail Link. So it's nothing like the projects, the rail system in Hong Kong. It's about a $2.5 billion project, which is huge for New Zealand. The public transport system of Auckland's pretty bad, so it's just there to try and service the main city. And lastly, downtown redevelopment of Auckland, about $260 million US. It involves a major development of central shopping centres and surrounding properties. So I'll just move on to the Canterbury rebuild. Now I'm aware that Lucy Ng of NZIQS presented in Brunei on the Canterbury rebuild. So I just kind of want to give a bit of an update as to what's actually happening in Canterbury right now. But it's a little bit different to what we'd all forecasted. So, in September 2010, there was a 7.1 magnitude earthquake. Now, fortunately, it was at about 4 o'clock in the morning, so there weren't any casualties, but the city was pretty badly damaged. Then in February of the next year, there was a 6.3 magnitude aftershock. 185 people were killed, thousands were injured. Now, 150,000 homes, or 3/4 of Christchurch's housing stock, were damaged. Rebuild costs are currently estimated at about $35 billion US, which is huge for New Zealand, which is a little country. 3 years on after the earthquake, not as much progress has been made as what people would have wanted. Just to put in perspective, in the CBD alone, 70% of the buildings needed to be demolished. We had unreinforced masonry, the buildings just crumbled. Now, 20% of this is still to be done. 3 years on, demolition still isn't complete. Estimates are at about 6 to 8% of the rebuild is complete. Most of that is actually residential. Commercial hasn't really got off the ground yet. Now, the biggest problem that we're facing down in Christchurch is resource. We don't have the resource to do it. The market is already at capacity with what's going on with the rest of the country. Looking at the public sector rebuild, the 4 largest leading agencies are the local district health board, Earthquake Recovery Authority, the port, and the Ministry of Education. Now, most of these entities are programmed to have the bulk of their work to be undertaken between now and 2017. But drilling down further into these projects, there are 5 flagship projects ranging in value between 280 to 430 million US. These include the hospital, the stadium, the Justice and Emergency Services Precinct, and the University of Canterbury Rebuild Program. Now, 4 out of 5 of these projects are programmed to start this year or next year. With the market already at capacity, it is unlikely that this program is achievable, but no one seems to be talking about it or doing anything about it. So, cost issues. It's simple supply and demand. This is already pushing prices up. Major projects are already experiencing higher escalation than your standard projects. This is due to the contractors just pricing in escalation risk. We're seeing large cost increases on trades and fewer players, for example, with specialist mechanical systems and that kind of thing. We're also seeing enhanced design escalation with clients and engineers nervous of further seismic activity. So, they're designing in more connections and equals more steel, which is pushing prices up. So, at Riley Bucknell, we're probably the biggest quantity surveying practice in New Zealand. We're really struggling to get competitive pricing. Our estimates are looking silly sometimes because vinyl flooring is coming in twice at what we would have expected it to come in at. It's a real problem. So let's move on to leaky buildings. Now, I'm aware Canada had a similar issue, but I'll just talk about New Zealand. So in the 1990s, a considerable number of houses were built using methods that essentially didn't stand up to New Zealand weather conditions. The moisture would essentially penetrate the cladding, and in the 90s, untreated timber was used, and the timber would rot. This caused massive damage to the structure and the fabric of the building. Remediation in most cases required the building to be reclad and a substantial amount of the timber to be replaced. The side effect to this is the risk to human health. So we don't quite know what it does, but some mould that can grow on damp surfaces like timber and whatnot can cause respiratory and skin problems in humans. So the number of buildings affected is unknown, but we're thinking it's around about up to 89,000 homes with a repair cost, just for residential, of between 10 and 20 billion US dollars. The problem is that many people can't afford to repair, so they're just having to just stay in these homes that are making them sick. And I think about 2002, there was a report called the Hun report that was released and discussed some of the main factors in the leaky buildings. So the New Zealand Building Code, the documentation supplied for building consents that would go to the council, the building products that were being used just weren't up to scratch, and the testing methods, that these products just weren't being tested adequately. And also the trade skills in the guys on site, it wasn't up to scratch. So at the moment, courts are filled with homeowners suing councils, architects and builders. I've been involved with plenty of these cases doing litigation support expert witnessing, It's really sad stuff, seeing mum and dad there with this house that they can't live in, it's making them sick, but it's going to cost them $500,000 to fix. The interesting thing about New Zealand law is that it stipulates that defendant parties are jointly and severally liable. I don't know what it's like for the rest of these countries, but that basically means that even if what that means is that if there's only one party left still solvent, i.e. the council or the architect, they are left to pay the full repair costs, even if their assessed contribution is only small. Lots of defendant parties are winding up their companies to avoid liability. Now, the contractual impact of this is that as the construction industry in New Zealand, we've all become a lot more litigious and a lot more risk averse, which is, I guess, a good thing in a way. We've also developed a much more heavy reliance on the council's consenting functions to check building code compliance. So in conclusion, I just want to reiterate the opportunities that are available in New Zealand at the moment, in the future and now, overseas investment, companies looking to expand, and also for you guys that maybe wanted to come and try out New Zealand to work there for a while. Also, NZIQS are currently bidding to hold the 2016 PAQS Congress and the YQS program in Christchurch, which should be a great opportunity for you guys to come over and have a look, see what's happening, and hopefully by then some of these big projects will be underway. We'll actually have something to show you rather than rubble, which is basically all that's there at the moment. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for a representative from the New Zealand. So now let's move on to the next presentation, and let's welcome the representative from Philippines.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. So, I'm Myla Victorino, and
I'm Victor Guillermo, and we're from the Philippines. As you all know, Philippines is an archipelago. Our main city is actually in Manila. And when we talk about Manila, it's actually Metro Manila and composed of the surrounding cities around actual Manila. So, yeah, our population is around 99 million, and 12 billion is about on the overseas workers.
so let's discuss about the Philippines gross domestic product. For the year 2013, we have a 7.2 GDP growth. We have a strong economic growth despite facing natural disasters, especially Typhoon Haiyan. And for the 2013 construction spending, we have a 10.9% growth. And one of the 3 industry growth driver for 2013 is the construction industry, which has a GDP share of 8.9%. So we have here the 2013 construction spending. For the public, we have 21.6 growth, which is bigger than the private sector, 7.6 growth, for the gross value of the 10.9%. For the 2014 outlook, the Philippine construction industry is expected to grow by 17% to $21 billion US, which will be broken down to 11 billion will be commercial, residential, and leisure construction, while 10 billion will be provided to civil infrastructure and utilities. We are expecting that the Philippines will have a higher construction spending as the years progress, because the Philippines still needs to catch up with the international benchmark of 5% GDP share. So we have here the construction cost trends from the Langdon NZIQS handbook for the hotels, office, and residential retail. Let's look at the data. So let's focus more on the 2012 and 2013 data. We have here an increase of around maybe 3% average for the hotels, office, and residential retail projects. As you can see from the graph, next slide, the blue one is for the 2013 construction cost. As you can see, we have a stable construction cost increase, which is playing around 4% as compared to the 2012 construction cost. Let's focus more on the offices. The BPO industry, business processing outsourcing and offshoring, is a key driver of office space development, and the industry's robust outlook is expected to benefit the expansion of office buildings. 7.2 million square meters of office spaces have been constructed in the year 2013, and the average vacancy levels relatively remain stable. CBRE reported that 97.3% of Metro Manila offices have been occupied. For the forecast, we are expecting to have additional 250,000 square meters of office space by mid-2015, and by 2016, we are expecting to complete 1.7 million square meters more. For the residential projects, the country is expected to witness a transformation from a nation of renters to homeowners. We have 4,400 condominium units completed in 2013. The key drivers are the sustained influx of remittance from the overseas Filipino workers and the availability of attractive financing options and prevalence of very low interest rates. For the forecast, approximately 47,500 units are expected to be on stream in Metro Manila alone between 2014 to 2016, which is around 15,800 units annually. So we have here a prime residential project, the Gramercy Residences. From the developer is Century Properties, a 72-story residential condominium. And Proscenium or Rockwell composed a 3.6-hectare property, which will be composed of 5 towers and 895 units, for 3 towers are being constructed. For the hotels, we have approximately 13,800 hotel rooms are forecast to be added to the total hotel room stock in Metro Manila. Most of upcoming room supply will be sourced from the future hotels in what we call the Entertainment City, which will house 5 integrated hotel and casino projects. The biggest one is what we call Manila Bay Resorts, with the developer Okada and Gokong Way, which has started construction this year, and phase 1 is expected to finish by 2016. For the retail, there has been a rise in purchasing power among the domestic population because of the OFW remittance and the solid growth in the BPO industry, coupled with favorable economic conditions and a rising urban population. Metro Manila retail stock is increased by 180,000 square to 5.5 million square meters, with 4 new malls completed from April to September 2013. And the forecast is continuous growth, as around 238,000 square meters of additional retail space is expected to complete in 2014, and over 548,000 square meters retail space is in the pipeline and is targeted to be delivered within 2014 to 2016. Here we have Victor for the infrastructure.
Yes, for the infrastructure, the Philippine government aims to increase the infrastructure spending to 5.1% of the country's GDP by 2016.
the major program is that the 1987 Constitution explicitly acknowledges the critical role that the private sector plays in the development agenda of the country. In this context, the Philippine Public-Private Partnership (PPP) program was forged as a flagship program for development under the Aquino administration. Aquino is actually our current president this year. 1.26 billion worth of construction projects has already been signed and awarded as of May 2014, consisting mostly of the following: school infrastructures, road network expansions, and airport terminals in the Visayas region. This is an example of the school infrastructure. This is not only the 400 million worth. It's actually located in different areas in the Philippines. So it's actually estimated approximate cost is $400 million. This is the road network expansions, and this is actually located in Manila. I think this is the NAIA. Expanding for more road networks to actually, our country is actually congested in traffic. We're well known for our traffic. And it's another road network expansion. This is actually going to the provinces areas in our country. And this is actually the one that found in the Visayas region. Actually, it's found in Cebu. Estimated cost is around $400 million. However, the progress of the Philippines PPP program is slow. The delays due is the following concerns: design and land acquisition, lack of transparency, problems with implementations, poor communication between authorities and investors. You see, 48 projects is actually in the pipeline, but as of now, actually about around 7 projects has been signed and approved. So that's why we consider it being slow. Increased construction, I think this is our accomplishments and initiatives. Increased construction spending, the PPP Center, and the Philippines Green Building Rating System, Verde, by the Philippine Green Building Council, 12 Verde recognized buildings. And also to introduce the QS education in the Philippines. Actually, there's no formal education of QS in the Philippines. So that's why our initiative is to implement a QS course so that the government would be informed that the QS is a crucial role in our country. The challenges to be tackled is that QS is non-involvement in the government projects, leading to lack of transparency, and then the lack of BIM education, and then the delays in the PPP proposed projects targeted on 2016. And our recommendation, our conclusion is that the QS role is, the need for QS roles in our country is rampant for the growth of its construction industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much for